So welcome to our Kickstart webinar for 2025. I am just so excited about this webinar. I've been working on this for quite some time now, and we're going to be going through a lot of information today, a lot of key information. And I want to introduce myself to begin with. So my name is Mandeep. I'm from Leicester, which is a city in the middle of the UK. And, I have come from a background, very traditional Asian background, where, eldest of four children, did everything by the book. You could actually call me the geek of the school. That's the type of personality I was, when I went to school. And, I just did everything that I was told. Go to school, okay. Get a good education, okay, let's do that. What else? Go to a good university, done. Studied psychology. That was actually my background. Did a bachelor's there at Warwick Uni, and then I got into corporate life. I got into a good paying job as an account manager in recruitment, and I was working with schools in the education sector to help them with their staffing. And I've got to say that when you have that feeling that you've done everything by the book and you know you're going to make it, and I thought this is me because I've studied so hard and I did everything by the book that I thought, hey, my life is sorted. This is it, you know. And sort of a decade down the line, I didn't really experience that. I felt very overworked. I felt underpaid. I didn't really have the satisfaction from my career and my job that I thought I would. And it got me thinking that this is not fair because I was told a certain life and certain rules and guidelines, and I did all that, but I didn't feel that I won big. And this is what I'm saying to you. Make sure you've got your pens and your pads ready because you're going to be making a lot of notes. This is a working call. So we're going to be really digging deep into a lot of goals and mindset and training tonight. But I think it's really important, ladies, that, and I know there's a few gents on the call as well, so welcome to you as well. But I really believe that you have to win big here in order to live a bigger, better life. And this is one key thing that I was missing for a long time. I just thought by going along with everybody else, following the crowd, that's going to get me the results that I want in life. I'm going to get a beautiful home and everything's going to work out. And I thought, everything's just going to work. It's going to be fine. And do you know what I was doing? I was merely wishing and hoping. And every year, and this is why this call is so important today, because every year around this time, I would sit down and, do a little reflection on my year and think, okay, I did this, didn't achieve that, but hopefully next year will be better. It'll be okay. And I never really set any proper goals. I mean, maybe some of you on this call, you're thinking, you know what, Mandy, I had a terrific 2024, in which case, congratulations, you've done amazing. And some of you on this call might be thinking, you know what, Mandy, I really struggled. I struggled. My health, my finances, my relationships, my self-care, everything or a certain area, it didn't quite work in my favor. And I used to question that a lot. I used to think to myself, why are they so successful? Why is she so abundant? Why is he so great at what he does? And I still can't get there. I'm a good person. I deserve good results. But let me tell you something. As long as you keep following what you're doing now and you don't have the results that you want, you will always stay the same person. Because for things to change, listen carefully, for things to change, you have to change, not anybody else. And I'm smiling because I was always waiting for someone else to change. I thought, okay, the government, the job, my employer, my boss, my parents, my siblings, and everyone else around me is going to change, and then I'll get to where I want. Stop wishing, start expecting. Stop wishing, start expecting. Expectation is a really, really great vibration. It's a different sort of feel. And we're going to be talking a lot about your expectations today for 2025. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and going through a lot of key information that we're going to be going through together. But by doing these exercises together, you can really, really manifest what it is that you want. Because I remember being in that place and that space where I was constantly hoping something would come about, and it never did until I did proper goal setting. Now, 7 years ago is where everything changed for me, and this is where I started to study. So that geekiness came in handy after all, right? But I'm a person who absolutely loves to read books. I like to study. I like to really understand information. Because if you think about it, how many times do people read these days? They probably don't, right? Who reads? Who really, listens to certain personal development? Maybe people do more audio books, but in terms of reading books, not many people do that. And so I started to study the mind. I started to understand that, hang on, what is it about these successful people? What makes them so different to what I'm doing? And actually, there was a big, big difference. There was a big difference with what these successful people were doing compared to what I was doing. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through a whole host of things. So if you can see my screen, just put a number 1 in the chat box. I will stop the share time to time. Okay, perfect. So I'll stop the share time to time just to answer any questions. But here we go. So let's look at your 2024. I hope you've got your notepads and pens ready because you're going to be going through this. Okay. So let's start. What was your biggest win? I want you to write it down. And by the way, it could be anything this year in the last 12 months. What was your biggest win? Something that you were really proud of. And by the way, it doesn't have to be related to business and finance and money and, in the job or career world. It could be anything. It doesn't matter how small or big the achievement is. What was your biggest win that you were proud of? Write it down. What was your biggest win? What can you say that this year, you know what, I'm really proud that I did this? You might have a few, but write down at least one. Question number 2. What are you grateful for? As of now, right now, 29th of December, 2024, what is in your life or who is in your life that you're grateful for? Write it down. These questions I've chosen specifically because, they will have a major impact moving forward on the way you're thinking. What are you grateful for? Question number 3, what could I have done better? So really focus on what could you have done better? What could you have done better this year that you didn't really do? And honestly, it can be anything. It could be maybe you're someone that needs to be more punctual, or you're someone that reschedules a lot of things and you need to stick to what you've committed to. Maybe it could be meeting more friends and family. Maybe it could be making more decisions to make things happen. What could you have done better? Maybe being more consistent. Try to be as specific as possible. Question number 4. This is interesting. What has prevented you from creating an extraordinary life in the past? Seriously, what is it? Because anybody at any point can be extraordinary. Anybody. You don't have to stay small. You don't have to stay ordinary. You don't have to stay the person that other people are telling you to become. So what's prevented you from doing these things? I want to know. Well, I say I want to know. This is more that you're writing it for yourselves. But what is it? What has prevented you from creating that? Really dig deep. Question number five. What do I need to improve? You know what you need to do. You know the answers, and it's just about doing them. What needs to improve? What needs to go from A to B and B to C and C to D for you to get to where you want? And by the way, we're going to be covering a lot of tools in this webinar to help you to move forward. And finally, this is an interesting one. How did you feel for most part of this year? This is a very, very crucial question, probably the most important out of the six. But how did you feel most part of this year? And by the way, just one sentence or one word will do. It could be excited, happy, grateful, ecstatic, or it could be, it might be anxious, disappointed, may have been fear. So, how did you feel for most part of this year? Write it down. Now, this is interesting because our emotions are really, really important. The way we feel has a massive, massive impact on what is going to happen. And if you have a look at the emotional wheel on the screen right now, you can see on the left-hand side, these are uncomfortable emotions. You've got anxiety, sadness, anger, disappointment, anxiety, powerlessness, jealousy, annoyance, ashamed. There's so many sort of negative emotions there. And on the right hand side of the wheel, you've got the comfortable emotions: excited, respected, grateful, hopeful. Oh, confident. I just love this. This is amazing. Curious, affectionate, hopeful, brave, wow. And the list goes on. So, where were your emotions for most part of 2024? For some of you, or maybe for a lot of you, this is going to open up a lot of doors up here because maybe you weren't even aware. This call, by the way, ladies, is to really raise your level of awareness. It's to raise your level of awareness of where you have been and where you are going. And this is why we're digging deep into your emotional home, because for some people, you will have been feeling a lot of the same emotion every day, every week, every month. And if they're negative emotions, we need to combat that. And if they're positive emotions, we need to continue growing those emotions. So, my question to you is, what is your emotional home? Where do you live up here for most part of the day, the week, the month? And where have you been this year in 2024? What is your emotional home? Have a look at the category, have a look at the grid, and put it on your paper. Maybe you might want to put one, two, or even just three. You don't have to put a lot of sort of words there, but just a few to give yourself an idea of where you've been this year. Where is your emotional home? I remember when I did this exercise a while back and it opened up so much because I was thinking, wow, it is crazy how important this really is. Next question. Where are you mostly on this scale? Are you in the uncomfortable emotion side, or are you mainly in the comfortable emotions? Which side of the scale are you mostly on? Is it the left, which is uncomfortable, or right, which is comfortable? Where are you mostly on this scale? This is a simple yes or no. Yes or no, sorry. Are you happy where you live? Everybody talks about their homes and their houses being a very happy place, being the place which is like their shrine or their sacred place. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we love to go back home. You know, whether we've been on a holiday or we've been away, we always like to go back to that happy place, which is home. But no one ever really talks about the emotional home, what's going on up here. So my question to you is, are you happy where you live here in your emotions? Yes or no? Or you're not sure? You tell me. If not, why not? Write it down. And this exercise is really going to help you to focus on those demons because sometimes we're not comfortable to speak to someone. And one of the great things you can do is start journaling and writing things down. And this is why this exercise is so powerful because it's going to get you to pour out your heart and your mind on that sheet of paper. And it's getting you to express and bring out your emotions. Next one. You probably already see this, but do you see a connection between your emotions and where you are in life? Do you see the connection? Well, let me help you out. Emotions equals goals. That is the connection that I wanted to establish. For those of you on the call that have achieved the goals that you wanted to do, it's probably because, and very most likely, your emotions were in the right place and you attuned your mind to feel happy, grateful, confident, everything. And for those of you that maybe didn't achieve what you wanted, it's probably because the emotions were more towards the uncomfortable emotions. So maybe there was resentment, maybe there was more disappointment, maybe there was more anxiety and stress and feeling ashamed or guilty for not having done something. But that's okay. That is okay because once again, this really is to help you to understand where you're at right now and where you're going to be going. Okay, so that is your emotional home. Now let's crank things up a notch. Okay, let's talk about what it is that you want. I don't know how many of you, by the way, have sat down prior to this call and maybe wrote things down or goals down. If you haven't, that's okay. We're going to go through these things right now. I absolutely love this question because it really helps you to open up what's inside here and here. If you had all the time and money in the world, what would you do? And don't put any limit on this. Okay, it doesn't matter about how crazy something you feel might seem. You don't want to put pen to paper, but what I'd say is just write it down, okay, and go with me on this. What would you want to have or experience? Who with and why? What is your definition of a happy, successful life? So I want you to take a few minutes, ladies, and answer this question. What would you do if you had all the time and money in the world? Go, write it down in as much detail as possible. And while you're doing that, I'm going to kind of maybe give you some ideas, but it could be travel. It could be paying off your home. It could be getting on the property ladder. Oh, I've got one for you. I was talking to a mummy the other day, and she was saying, oh, I'd love to have a nanny. I said to her, write it down. And then she said, you know what? I'd love to have a cleaner. I said, write it down. It's really interesting that when you put pen to paper, things will start to manifest. Because how many times do you put pen to paper? It's when you're signing something, isn't it? When you sign something, it's very official, it's very definite, and you are basically it's a contract. So this is your contract to yourself. What is it that you desire? Write it down as much as possible. What do you want to experience? What do you want to have? There's so much to do and see out there. And it doesn't matter how wild it is, just write it down. Do you want to be able to give more to charity? Do you want to help out your family? I know for a lot of people, they definitely wouldn't be working in their jobs, maybe out of choice if you really love your job. But most of you wouldn't be doing your job. You'd be doing so much more else. Would you be spending more time with your children, with your spouse, with your parents, with your grandparents? Imagine today's Sunday, and obviously tomorrow's Monday. So imagine you don't have to go to work tomorrow. How amazing would that feel? So what would you be doing with your day? If you didn't have to go to work, if you didn't have to get up to, answer to a boss and sit behind that computer screen, what would you be doing? I remember doing this exercise so many times, and I would repeat it and repeat it and write it and repeat it and write it and repeat it. And do you know what? It is amazing how when you start to repeat things in your mind and you write them down, they will actually start to manifest. It's honestly, this stuff is crazy. When you really get into it and you start writing it down, it is amazing. And by the way, for those of you that want to take this to another level, okay, you can do this after this call, but I would encourage you to write down 100 goals or 100 desires that you want to have in 2025. And you might be thinking, oh my God, Mandy, that's so many. I can barely think of 10 or 20. It doesn't matter. Write it down, make that list because you're basically expanding your mind, your awareness, you're expanding what it is that you want, your desires. To write it down. Because guess what? You have the time and you have the money. So write it down. What is it that comes to your mind when it comes to this exercise? And when you do this exercise, maybe you might want to play a bit of music, make it really nice, and make sure you're in that quiet zone, but write things down. And I'm a big advocate of that because when you do that, again, it's like signing, it's a contract. So write it down. Okay, so you've done your desires. So now let's have a look at 2025. 2025 is 2 days away. And I don't know how many of you have actually written down goals, but I want you to right here, right now, write down your goals towards your health. Write it down. Just even if it's a collection of goals, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be too specific at this stage, but I just want you to write something down towards your health. By the way, I'm a big believer that no health means you don't have anything. Okay. You have really, really, really got to prioritize your well being mentally and physically. That is so important. So make sure that you are doing something towards your health in 2025. And if you are a gym freak like I am, do more. Okay. There is always another level, whether it's going hiking or running, or you need to increase the amount of times you go to the gym. What's your nutrition going to be like? Are you someone that loves sugar? Um, and I had to cut down a lot of sugar, by the way, in the past, but that's all to do with health. Do you need to start eating, I don't know, more greens or one ingredient foods? How many people have foods with loads of different ingredients on them and chemicals and additives and preservatives? These things matter. So write down your goals towards your health. What kind of physique do you want? You know, I mean, I just want to talk about this for a second, but are you in the best possible physique right here, right now? Do you feel proud of the body that you live in? Because if not, 2025 is a good time to change. Well, I'm not going to say 2025. I'm going to say right here, right now. Do it. Tomorrow's Monday. Get yourself to the gym. Go. Do something, start something. It doesn't mean necessarily that you have to start on the 1st of January 2025, but make sure that you're doing something towards your health. Every single person who's plugged into this call and who's watching this video right now, by the way, something needs to be done towards your health. That is so important. Next one, income and money. What are your goals? Have you written it down? I run a business and I speak to a lot of people and I say, right, tell me how much you want to be earning a month or a year. And they'll say to me, well, you know what, Mandy, I want more money. And I'll take out a £10 note and I'll say, there you go, you got more money. And they say, no, 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 not £10. I want more than that. And I say, give me a figure. So be specific about saying it and writing it down. Because sometimes we're scared to admit what it is that we really want, especially when it comes to money. I'm not asking you to declare this to the world or to me. I'm asking you to declare this to yourself. What kind of money and income would be life-changing for you? What do you want? Because for most people, they are living paycheck to paycheck, the average wage, and they are simply fed up. Most people are waiting till the 1st or the 2nd or probably till the end of the month to get paid because they've finished all their money over the Christmas and festive period. So they're hoping and praying for the next paycheck. Well, I'm telling you, the external does not need to dictate what you earn because you are powerful enough to create what it is that you want. So write it down. What is your goal towards income and money in 2025? Write it down. Next one, relationships. Now, point to be noted on relationships. The biggest, best relationship that every person needs to have. What do you think that is, by the way? What do you think the biggest relationship in your life that you need to have? I just want to see some comments in the chat box. I can see some comments coming through. Let's just read them. Okay. Yeah. Everybody is pretty much correct. Yeah, exactly. The best relationship that you can have is with yourself. Because when you self-love, when you have that strong connection with yourself, everything else will work itself out. It is so important to love yourself, to respect yourself, and to have a strong self-image. And self-image, by the way, is something that we're going to be coming on to very, very shortly, because what you think of yourself up here will have a massive effect on how the world sees you. Massive. And I'll be telling you about my self-image story as well and the changes I went through. But relationships, I really believe that one thing every single person should write down is a relationship with yourself. It needs to be like this. You need to really, really love and respect yourself. Because when you do that, everything changes. And of course, any other relationship goals that you have, do write them down. Next one, emotional and spiritual health. What do I mean by that? Well, how many of you have a gratitude journal? Or how many of you simply say, thank you? See, these things have a massive impact. Just by saying the word, thank you. Not necessarily to a human being, but just thank you to the universe, or maybe you believe in a higher power or God, whatever it is, whatever your beliefs are, you are being grateful. You are feeling good. That's what it means by spiritual health. It's very easy to be married to what we don't want, isn't it? It's very easy to feel, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, my health, my kids, my this, and we keep repeating the same story. And I was a massive advocate of that. I was someone who probably was pretty ungrateful. So I had to start learning about gratitude. I had to program myself to stop doing these things. You know? So that's really, really important. Next one. What are your goals towards yourself? What do you want to do? What is your personal goal that you want for yourself? Maybe more self-care. Maybe you need to do something that's going to help elevate yourself. Maybe it's journaling, it could be gratitude journal, although that's more kind of the emotional, spiritual health side. But what is it that you need to do for yourself? Just for you, that's it, not for anybody else. Because I know a lot of the times, we have everybody else, and then, you come right here. So what do you need to do for yourself in 2025? And then I got another two questions for you. What are three things you must do in 2025 and three things that you must not do next year? What do I mean by this? So, three things that you must do is, you know what, I have to prioritize, I must prioritize my health, my relationships, and my spiritual health. Like I've got to definitely do these three things. Or it could be a personality trait. I must work on these three things next year. This is a must. And must not do are basically a bit like your vices. Could it be that you've got to just maybe quit smoking, or there is a bad habit that you want to, sort of stop? What must you not do in 2025? So take a picture of this, think about it. You can continue writing notes as we go through, or even afterwards, as we go through the webinar. So let's get on to the action points now. Okay. And by the way, I just want to make sure that everybody's still with me, because I know I'm doing a lot of talking at the moment, but are you still with me? Are you still enjoying? Are you still happy and healthy? And I just wanted to make sure. I don't know why this hand is up, by the way, on the lower hand. There we go. Okay, perfect. Amazing. That's good. So is everybody still here? Is everybody still good? If you need to get yourself a drink of water or whatever it is, I need to have mine. Amazing. Okay. I know we're getting really deep into this, but it's just so important that we get this, and I'm going to go back to these slides in just a second. But, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because once I started understanding myself and my mind, everything was so different. Everything was so different. And this is what propelled me to do a lot of great things. And this is why I'm sharing with you these nuggets and this information that if you really apply it, if you really go all out and you stop listening to the nonsense and the noise out there, because frankly speaking, there is a lot of nonsense and noise in the world right now. And what you've got to do is you've got to focus on where it is that you want to go. If something does not serve you, get rid of it, delete it, goodbye. That's what you've got to do. I'm not saying disrespect people. I'm not saying anything like that. What I am saying is that you have to look after number one. Because how can you expect to pour into other people when you're operating on a 20, 30% battery? It doesn't make sense. You have to take care of this and this. And by the way, success in any area of your life, because this is why we're on this call, isn't it? We want to have a successful 2025. The rent for success is due every day. So this is not just a one-time gig where we all get together and feel great. This is an everyday gig. Reading, writing, journaling, studying your mindset, looking at your goals. This requires absolute consistent effort. So let's go back to our amazing slides here. Okay, action points. Right. Let's get into the specifics. Okay. So you wrote down maybe a few lines just a moment ago. And now I want you to write down. Okay. So this is where it's going to start getting a bit like, oh, okay. So I need to commit to this. But I want you to write down one or two goals per category that I've written down. So for example, health is the first category. So maybe what you're going to focus on a daily, weekly basis is going for a walk, a fitness class, starting the gym, maybe renewing your gym membership. Maybe you need to increase your water intake from 1 or 2 liters to 2 or 3 liters a day? I want you to get specific. So write it down. What are you going to commit to in 2025 every day, or 2, 3 times a week, or 4 times a week with your health? Every single person should have something for this. There are no excuses. And by the way, if you get stuck on any of these, I want you to send me a message, either on my WhatsApp for those of you that have my number, or you can message me on Instagram. But I want you to send me a message saying, need help for this particular goal, because health is something that, and by the way, I wasn't always into health. Okay. My sort of fitness health journey started after lockdown, but it's so important to look after the way you feel, and even breathing exercises, just feeling good, and it helps give you energy. I know for the gym enthusiasts and maybe PTs that are on the call, they're absolutely loving this, because they're saying, yes, 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 this is exactly what everybody needs to be doing. And I couldn't agree more. Because listen, when you feel good, okay, when you feel good, everything around you feels good, doesn't it? But when you feel bad, oh, everything around you feels worse. So, what are you going to commit to in 2025? I'm always, okay, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I was always the person that was constantly looking at other people, thinking, oh my God, she looks so nice. Oh my God, they look really great. Look at their body, look at their figure, look at this, look at that. And I never ever believed that I could look good. Okay. And then I pulled my socks up, so to speak. Okay. And I started training, and I started eating right, and I paid for a PT, and I got serious. And guess what? I became that person who I always used to look at. Do you understand my point? So the people that I started to look, the people I was always looking at and admiring, I said, you know what the heck? I'm going to become that person. I am sick and tired of looking at other people and looking at myself like, oh, I don't feel good. And everything started to change. So when you improve, everything around you is going to improve. So just take your health really, really seriously. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing, income and money. Write it down. What do you want to do in 2025 towards your income or towards growing your money? What are you going to do? Be specific. Is it you're going to start a new business? Is it that for that business that you have thought about, you need to write a plan? Is it that you need to cut out expenses, unnecessary expenses? Is it that you need to put towards a saving pot? Are you saving money every single week and month? Do you need to pay off some debts? Do you need to get rid of those credit cards? There's so much around this subject that, you need to understand, ladies. Because let's face the facts, money gives you choices. It does. We can't argue with that fact. Because when you have what you desire in terms of your, if your expenses are covered and you're earning, quite a substantial amount more than that, you are in a place of freedom. But not a lot of women or people have that luxury, because they don't understand income and money in the first place. But growing your income, let me tell you something, growing your income is a really great place to start, because when you grow your income, you can start to save, you can start to pay off debts, you can start to cutting your expenses you should be doing anyway, but start to think what needs to be done, what needs to change. If you have lived the same way for the last 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it is time to wake up, because there's so much to do out there. There are so many opportunities out there that you can be grabbing hold of just by raising your awareness and keeping an eye out for them. So what's going to change? I want you to write it down. Next one, relationships. What needs to change in the next 12 months towards the people around you? Is it that you need to forgive? Maybe you need to show appreciation for people, or even regular coffee dates or lunch dates with your friends, your family. Maybe you've not taken out enough time to really be around your loved ones because you're always working or you're always doing something, but not giving that time to the people that deserve it. Because let me tell you one thing, you can always grow your income, but you can never ever grow your time. So time with loved ones is really important because you're never going to get that back. Every day, every single person is making a withdrawal from their time account. Time is something you can never buy back. So spending that quality time, if that's something that you want to do, I would say write it down and make it a point to plan your dates with your friends and family. But what is it around the relationships area that you need to work on? And we spoke about self-love and self-care, didn't we? So maybe you need to be a bit more disciplined with, forgiving yourself, appreciating yourself. Because sometimes we can fall into a trap of, you know what, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. I'm not confident. I'm not this. I'm not that. And we tell ourselves that same story nearly every day. But I want you to write yourself a new story where you love and respect yourself and you forgive yourself and you appreciate yourself. So these are, again, points that you can do every single day. And the next one that feeds into this next one, emotional and spiritual health. What is it again that you're going to do next year? If I was to show you, in fact, I think in my drawer here, look at this, I've got my gratitude journal here. This is insane. Okay, this is insane. But there are so many pages in this. Can you see my gratitude journal, by the way? Look at this. Can you see it? Pages and pages, right? Of so many different things that I'm grateful for. I'm always writing, I'm always journaling. This is not something that I take lightly. Okay, this is something that I'm doing every day. It's not just, oh, let's just talk about it because it sounds great. No, I am a person that will lead by example. If I'm asking you to do something that's going to help you, it's because I'm doing it myself and I have manifested the things that I want and it's helped me. But it all came from doing these daily disciplines. Gratitude journal is the biggest thing that I learned because it really puts you in that state of appreciating what and who is around you. Maybe that's something you might want to give a go. Even visualization. Visualization probably needs a whole, webinar on its own, but such a powerful way to use your imagination. Because guess what? Most people utilize their imagination in the incorrect way because they use their imagination to worry and create fear. But if you use your imagination the right way, that's what is called visualization because it means you're visualizing what it is that you want, not what you don't want. Okay. And finally, yourself, me time. How many times a week or even a month do you have me time where you go for a massage or you go for, I don't know, a facial or a treat or a walk in nature? Anything that you want, make it a priority. Because I know when I speak to a lot of the ladies, their me time is once a year or once every 6 months because they're taking care of the family. I'm not saying don't take care of the family. I'm saying also include yourself in that as well. Maybe it might be once a month you commit to a treat for yourself or once a week or however you want to do it. But that is really important. Okay. Now, the next one is we've talked a lot about goals, we've talked a lot about desires and dreams and goals, but how will you track all of this? Because maybe your page is quite full with a lot of notes. So, how will you track your progress? What will you do? Well, here's the key thing you can do any of these things, but you can get a diary or a planner. You can discuss your goals with a friend or a partner, or you could speak to a mentor or a coach. Now, I'm not saying you have to pay lots of money to someone to stay accountable, but having that accountability partner is really, really important because this is how you can start to track your progress. Because sometimes when you write things down, it's easy to kind of slip and think, well, I didn't do it today and that didn't happen, but that's okay. All right. So what you want to do is you want to learn to track your progress. Okay, that's really, really important. So just make sure that you are definitely doing that. And I can see there's a lot of messages coming through. Thank you so much for your lovely, kind messages. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me see now. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. Amazing. Oops. Okay, let's go back to our webinar. Now, this is something that I think is so important. Okay, self-image. Self-image. And again, this probably needs a whole webinar on itself, but this is so important. I want you to write this down. What is your current belief about you and how do you see yourself? What is your current view? Write it down. Read and reread that question and answer it truthfully. By the way, everything here, this should not be something about how other people see or other people's opinions about you or your goals. This is you and you, no one else. This webinar does not include anyone but yourself. So I want you to answer me this. How do you see yourself? What is your current belief about you? What do you like about yourself? Write it down. Not what others think, by the way, okay? Not what others think, but what do you like about yourself? What do you dislike? And what can be improved? So this is your current view, okay? How you see yourself. And for some of you, it could be like confidence, don't like to express my opinion, not sure about myself, always have to ask someone for reassurance. Or it could be confident, amazing, powerful, great, um, very self-assured. So there's different things here, okay? So what do you like and what do you dislike and how can it be improved? Now what I want you to do is I want you to write down the future view. Okay, I want you to write down who would you like to be and what kind of personality and energy, what would that look like? If I was to meet you in 6 months' time and you've really improved yourself, what would that look like? So that's what I want you to write down. So you've got your current view and then you've got your future view. So who are you now and who would you like to be? I want you to write that down. How do you dress? What is your persona like? What is your confidence like? What is your energy like? How do you look? How do you feel? Again, if your friends and family, and even I was to meet you in 6 months' time and you were this brand new, amazing personality, what would that look like? I want you to write that down. Self-image is very critical because, like I said before, the way you see yourself is the way the world will see you. And I was going to share a story, wasn't I, with you on self-image. So before I came into personal development and, kind of understanding the mindset, I am going to be honest, I didn't think much of myself. I didn't. I just thought that I'm just an ordinary person and I'm going to stay that way. And that's going to be pretty much it. I'm going to be this person that's going to stay small and play small, and that's it. And it's interesting because my results were the same. My results never really changed. And maybe you can relate to this, but a lot of my results were pretty much the same. What I earned, um, my confidence, the way I dressed, uh, basically everything. Nothing really changed. And you know what it was? It was because I never thought I could be someone great. I always thought that, you know what, it's the people on Instagram and it's the people out there and all these big shots that are going to stay big. But I'm such a small person. And that's what I used to tell myself all the time. So can you see how the self-image correlated to the small results that I had? But once I started to understand this information, I thought, actually, hang on, I can become great. I am great. I am powerful. I am strong. These are my main three affirmations that I absolutely would encourage you. You can even take them if you want. I am strong. I am powerful. I'm courageous. I'm amazing. Whatever it is you're telling yourself, you're going to become that. And in the beginning, you might not believe it. Okay, you might not believe it in the beginning, but having that strong self-image is really, really important. So, what do you do most of the time towards your thinking, feeling, and speaking? Write it down. Right here, right now. How how are you thinking? What is the state of your thinking most of the time? Are you always worrying? Are you always like sitting like this and sort of living in that fear? Is that what you're thinking? What about the feeling? Are you feeling great and positive and confident and amazing? Or are you feeling really stressed and anxious, like, oh my gosh, 2025, another year's gone, another year's here. Oh my goodness, time is flying. What are you feeling? Next thing, what are you speaking? What are you speaking? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. So you can either speak well or speak negative, you are going to manifest whatever it is that you're speaking. So I want to know, how do you speak, think, feel most of the time? Write it down and be honest. Be honest with yourself. Again, this call is to really raise that level of awareness here. Because it sounds obvious, doesn't it? Oh, think positive and speak and stay positive. But how many times do you do that in a day? I never used to do this, by the way. I used to think pretty negative. I used to think the worst, feel the worst, and speak the worst. That was me. That was the old me. I'm not afraid to say it because I have a new me now, which is very different that I'm very proud of. Because again, I did this exercise and I started to, write down what is the future me, the way I'm thinking, feeling, and speaking. And I want you to do exactly the same thing. In 2025, what will you do to improve your thinking, your feeling, your speaking? Is it that you need to read more? You need to study more? You need to do a gratitude journal every day? You need to speak to a mentor? You need to phone someone close to you? You need to do a gratitude journal. You need to visualize more. How will you improve your thinking, your feeling, your speaking? Because this is the only way you're going to start to improve and manifest the results that you want. Remember, I was saying to you in the beginning, how do some people manifest everything they want, and other people, they don't manifest anything or even just 10% of their goals, dreams, and desires? Well, this is it. It's because these successful people are thinking the right way, they're feeling the right way, they're speaking the right way. So when you put that together in a triangle, wow, it's a completely different you. And by the way, in the beginning, when I remember when I started doing this in the beginning, and I was thinking, trying to, starting to think a certain way, and my mind would go back to, well, you can't do that. You've never done that. So how will you do that? When I tried to improve my feeling, I'd start to feel good. And then this old feeling would come back of, it's like a battle. Even speaking, I was trying to speak the right things. And then my mind would start thinking, but you're lying. So what I'm saying to you is it's like planting a seed. Okay, when you plant a seed, it's not going to grow in week one or day one. It's going to take time. So this is what you're doing. You're planting that positive seed energy for your thinking, your feeling, your speaking. And trust me when I say this, you will start to see a very significant change after 21 days, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year. You could become a completely, completely different person just by harnessing your energy in the right way. It is incredible what you can achieve and do just by doing this. Okay. So this is basically the pretty much the end of the webinar, and I've got a couple of links there. So the first one on the left is the Telegram channel, which I have, and I'm going to be posting a lot of things in there. So do take a picture of that. You can join the channel straight away. That's on the left-hand side, and there's a lot of things towards manifestation and goal setting. We also have different seminars that I'm going to be putting on, in-person seminars next year in 2025. So there'll be details released of that in the Telegram channel. So definitely follow that. And you can also follow me on Instagram on the right-hand side. So, at least you can see a little bit more about my story and, kind of the journey over time. And my lasting message to you is your happiness depends on you. Don't expect someone else to give it to you. Because for a long time, long time, I was always expecting that an external situation or a person would make me happy, that this has to happen for me to be happy, or this person has to do something or, give something to make me happy. And that's when everything's going to be great for me. Actually, what I learned is there is no such thing as that Prince Charming who's going to come and wave the wand and everything's going to be great. You have to learn to be dependent on yourself when it comes to your happiness. Okay, you have to really, really understand yourself. So I really hope that this webinar has provided you with insight and you're feeling powerful, you're feeling good. My real dream is to help so many women become the best of them. And this is why I formed Global Sensational Women, because this movement that I started in 20, oh my goodness, I should know the dates, and I just trying to think, 2018, I started this. But this movement has been going for quite some time. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because imagine if every person was the best of them. How wonderful would this world be? Most people out there, they don't know this information. They don't know how to change their lives. But imagine if they did, how powerful the not just this generation, but the next generation of people can be. And this is what really inspires me to continue to do things like this, do these webinars, do these seminars. And I'm really, really excited for the future. So let's create something great. Any questions that you have, feel free to message me. You've got my Instagram as well that you can lock into. And let's make 2025 a really, really phenomenal year. So thank you very much. Mwah. Love to you all. It's been amazing, and see you all very, very soon. I'm just going to play some music and see you all soon. Thank you.